Today I'm going to show you how to make a pork schnitzel using an oilless fryer, or also known as an infrared lamp oven. I take the piece of pork, put it between the saran wrap and some plastic wax paper, and begin to pound. You want to pound it so it's maybe just under 1/4 of an inch thick, but don't pound it so much that it actually starts to fall apart, which you can actually do. I've got this pretty uniform, and this piece here looks very good, ready for the next step. The next step is to put a little salt and pepper on it. I like peppers, so I'm putting a little bit more maybe than what you'd prefer, but just a dash of salt. The pepper is a white pepper I'm using from a grinder. And once I get the pepper and salt on it, I will now take the piece of pork and put it into the flour. Flour is just plain white flour, but I do want to make sure that all sides, including the edges, are completely covered with flour. So I make sure every bit of this has been covered with flour, and once it's covered with flour, it looks pretty good and it's ready for the next step. Now I'm going to prepare the egg that I'm going to be dipping the meat into. I take the egg and I put it into a small bowl. You put it into any kind of container that you want to use to beat your egg. I'm using a hand whisk, and you can see it comes out pretty good. You can use any kind of device that you use to beat your eggs. You then take the egg mixture and I pour it into a shallow plate. I do this because I can slide the meat through much easier than trying to do it in the bowl. But whatever works for you. If you want to use fewer dishes, that's fine. But the key thing is you do want to make sure that all surfaces of the meat is well egged, but you also want to make sure that you're not doing it so much that you actually start to wash off some of the flour. So the plate works better in this respect. Then after I placed it into the egg, I'm ready to put it into the breadcrumbs. These are your plain breadcrumbs, unflavored. You do not want to press them too firmly into the schnitzel, but you do want to make sure that all of the egg surfaces are covered with crumbs. So I'm working this back and forth, flipping it over, using both sides, making sure that all surfaces are covered with crumb. And it's pretty obvious if you've got some raw eggs still not covered with crumbs that you can get to. Once I do that, this is an extra step because of the oilless fryer. I'm going to use just a little of baking spray like Pam, and I'm not putting a lot on here, just short little bursts to get a little bit of oil. Then I'll put it into the cooker, oiled surface down, so now I can spray a little bit on the now exposed top surface. I will set the temperature of the unit between, well, just under 400, maybe around 380 degrees, as you can see there, and start the cooking. The cooking process should take no more than 6-7 minutes, maybe on the first side, maybe another 4 or 5 on the other side. I do this purely by sight. I've done this many times, and I have found that these times are pretty good. Basically, you want to make sure it's nicely browned, as you can see here, and at the halfway point I will flip it over so I can brown the other side. And I just keep watching it. You do not want to burn it, and if you got it over 400 degrees, you could possibly burn it without cooking it throughout. You can see that it looks just like it came out of a frying pan, but this one has been baked. I garnish it with a little lemon, and you can see that it is very tender and looks just like the ones you'd get at a restaurant. And boy, it tastes as good too.